Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's special edition of Keeping It Light. This podcast, we have a special guest with us. Before I get to that, though, Joel, how's it going? Where are you?
Great. Well, currently in Las Vegas, Nevada, but for the last week and a half, let's see, I was in LA from Monday through Sunday, and then Sacramento on Monday, just a couple days ago, Reno yesterday, and now Vegas today. If you know anything geography wise of how that trip goes, it is a lot of driving, but we have seen some really good dealers and it's been a lot of fun. Aidan is our special guest. He's actually my driver. So we've had a lot of chill time, a lot of driving in the car, and it's been great. Dealers that we've got to talk to, some new ones as well, and just trying to get Blizzard's brand out there.
Well, that's great. And you've already mentioned our special guest. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce to everyone. This is Aidan Gilligan. His career has spanned sales, audio, and engineering, and now the pro audio and lighting world. He studied at the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Arizona, where he worked on major projects like Extraction 2 and the Citadel at IMN Creative. And when the industry strikes slowed things down, he transitioned to the rep firm Sound and Sales West, where he is now helping connect dealers with manufacturers to find the right pro audio and lighting solutions. Welcome to the show, Aidan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm very excited.
Oh, we're happy to have you. This is our first interview, so we're
Hey, hey.
Wonderful.
we're winging it. We're going to make it happen. So the first question I actually have for you is, it's about a rep firm, and I work in this industry, and I'm not really sure what they do and how they fit into the pro audio and lighting solution, and I guarantee our viewers don't know either. So can you just educate me on the world of the rep firms?
Absolutely. So, I mean, as you said from my history as well, I am still also very new into this world as well. My background mostly being sales with regular sales companies, and getting into the entertainment industry, rep firms are a very unique niche. But from my understanding, from what I do, we are your boots on the ground, especially for manufacturers. I mean, your guys' main focus is making credible equipment that our dealers can go out and utilize and get to the end user and make amazing projects and shows and stages and X, Y, and Z. But you guys need to focus on building amazing products and looking at the trends and seeing where things can go. While the rep firm, we already have relationships with a huge network of dealers. So our value comes in where, okay, you guys bring us on. We already know the area. We live and breathe LA, or at least that's our territory. We know everybody in the area at that point, or we've been building relationships with people at that point. So that's where we come in with our value of being able to get on board with those dealers and saying like, hey, I know you're working on this. There's a product that one of our manufacturers offers that you might not have heard about. We can actually be that firsthand experience to suggest those kinds of products.
Awesome. So you're in the business of making good suggestions to people looking for products.
Absolutely.
Got it. And Sound and Sales West, they cover the entire, I guess, because you're West, you're based out of LA, but you cover the entire West Coast for Blizzard. Is that right?
Southern California, Nevada, and for Blizzard specifically, a little bit more of Northern California in that Reno area. So
okay. So you get a good number.
Territory specifically with Blizzard.
You get a fun number of good number of fun cities in that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ain't that the truth?
So tell us, what drew you into the entertainment business? What was that? What was the catalyst for you that brought you in?
Fair enough. Well, I mean, as anybody loves and dreams, I'm a huge movie buff. I'm a music guy. I spend all of my formative years making my own music, being in the school band. I was an actor, X, Y, and Z. So I've always had a special place in my heart for entertainment. I've always been told that's something I should have been doing from the start, but I just never. I also got told the other end of it, where if you decide to be a musician, you're gonna not make it very far or die early death and broken in a gutter somewhere like that. Those were the stories I heard.
Right.
So I never really truly thought that there was a way to be in this industry without being one of the, a famous actor or the famous musician. My brain just never thought. I was like, well, there's so much more in that industry. Like the stages have to get built. There's corporate sides to it where you're still putting things together and you're making a more, regular person salary of what's going on. So that was kind of where the interest happened after doing sales for so long in Arizona. I was like, all right, let's do a little revamp, go back to school, go into audio engineering. My first love was going to go into post production because it was a beautiful marriage between my love of movies as well as my love of sound and music. So that's where I ended up for a hot minute.
I have complete fascination with the rock bands of the early '80s and everything that came out of LA. So like the idea for me of like going out on the Sunset Strip and checking out a band is like that's like a bucket list thing for me. So one of these days I'll get out there and you got to show me the scene. I
Come
guess
on,
you know it, right?
We'll take you around. We'll have a good time.
Oh, it's awesome.
Always welcome.
It's been fun for sure.
Joel, did you get to do any of that cool stuff in LA?
No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Hollywood?
Yeah. No. I mean, there's only so much you can do. The one thing I definitely learned was there is just going in between cities from LA to Anaheim, Santa Ana, Burbank, anywhere in between, and we have dealers all across that whole area. So because there is just ridiculous amounts of traffic in that city, LA in general, it just takes a while. I mean, there have been days we've left at 8:30 in the morning and have not gotten back till 6:30 at night. And we saw 2 or 3 people. So it just takes that long to get around. So that might have to be a trip you and I plan out. And we come out here, Lucas, and we can go hang out on Sunset Strip.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah,
I'm
I can
all
tell
for
you're so from Milwaukee because like from Orlando, like the traffic just sounds normal to me.
Probably.
With the
Not from
I-4
Wisconsin.
corridor, it takes you. No, not in Wisconsin. Now every time I go to Wisconsin, I'm like, where is everybody? Is it Sunday? That's great.
It's wonderful. Not gonna lie.
So, as a rep, you work closely with dealers and manufacturers. How do you approach building relationships and trust in a competitive industry?
I mean, it really just comes down to getting in front of the people. That's really what it is. The face to face. I mean, it's an old age theory of like how the best way to do sales, face to face is always the best, but there's a reason behind it. And getting in front of dealers and actually going to see them. This trip out just now with Joel, I mean, there were I think 3 dealers that we went and saw that have no connection to Blizzard at the moment. But all it really came down to was like getting a phone call on with them, doing a little research on the company, of seeing, hey, you guys work with stages, you work with a little bit of integration, but you seem like a nice niche to fit into. Do you have 15 minutes for us to come by and say hi? And 15 minutes turns into, well, what do you have with you? And let's pull some stuff out of the car. Oh, you guys do ellipsoidals? Really? I didn't think Blizzard had ellipsoidals. Or, oh, okay. And then next thing you know, it's 12 o'clock and they're like, you guys hungry? You want to go to lunch? And then we go to lunch and then we have a whole hour and a half spent over food and talking about the lights. And it's much more natural and organic. And honestly, that is all it really takes. Because after that, you have that much time with someone. You're no longer, when you're calling or emailing, just some random email or a phone number that they have to recognize. They see, that's Aidan. He looks like that. We had a great lunch and he's fun and easy to talk to. And yeah, we had a great time.
So you and Joel are the proverbial traveling salesman with a whole trunk full of lighting equipment and you're just driving around with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
What it was.
Yeah, it's pretty darn close because
you make it Joel do the heavy
are
lifting, right?
Yeah, I make him do it. I'm older. I make him do it. But and it's one of those things like we're like, okay, well, let's go in and scope out the thought, like see, do they have time for us to show them or not? And 9 times out of 10, it is like, yes, please, show us what you got. Okay, unload everything and take it in, and every time it's worth it. Every time. So it's really a very fulfilling job, just because you're just relationship building and you're getting that brand awareness out there and hopefully getting into more and more hands. And that's all we can do.
And it's just letting them know that you're there for their support. Like that is truly the real job of the rep, is that we are the first line. We should be the first person that they call. Because most of the time, manufacturers, they can get really large, or you're busy, or you don't have a sales team, or you don't have a incredible customer service team like Blizzard I know has. But you get dealers calling in, or when you have 150 dealers that all end up needing to call in for one thing, they're not getting helped immediately. So it's easier for them to call the guy that comes by once or twice every couple months, and they know who he is and what he does, and they know that, oh, if I call Aidan, like, okay, he'll at least get me in touch with the right person at Blizzard for this specific thing, and it's a little bit more fast track.
So in my mind, the way this works is, so say I'm an end user and I've got this project and I'm like building out theaters for whatever, like a local community center or something like that. So I call my dealer and I'm like, I want to do blah, blah, blah. And he'll go, cool. And then that dealer will call you and be like, I've got a guy doing this project. What do you have that will work for him?
100%.
Then I've got it right. I now understand.
That's exactly what will happen. That is the ideal situation, especially, and a lot of times that doesn't happen. Like I said, it's the ideal, because a lot of times the dealer won't really give me a call until they're like, hey, I already did X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm looking at. Can you get me a quote? And in that case, sure, I can always do that. But when you're calling me in the beginning of like, hey, I'm putting this project together, this is what I'm thinking, that gives me a lot more room to be like, hey, I like what you're thinking, but this product might do the exact same thing and you might not have heard of it. And it actually does what you're trying to do plus some. So it's future proof or X, Y, and Z. Like, you have a little bit more options because I'm familiar with more products.
Oh, that's awesome. So what are some common misconceptions people have about rep firms? What are they and what are they not?
Ooh. What it really comes at, I feel, and again, I've only been in this game for about a year, so I'm still learning a ton. But the misconceptions that I have come across personally really come down to, I would say, we're just sales. And that's it. Like, you need a quote, call Aidan, he'll get you a quote. That's it. That's the extent of my expertise. It's not true. We are, like I said, the ideal situation is when a dealer ends up with a project, give us a call then. Because then we can be a part of the process of like, okay, well, let's help with the design. Let's recommend some products from manufacturers you might not have heard of or thought of. Let's recommend other ways of doing this. I mean, sometimes I don't want to mention too many names. Sometimes something comes across and you're like, hey, look, you could do the exact same thing what you're doing for, but this is going to be a little bit more value engineering. If I don't get in early enough, I can't really make those suggestions, because by the time you're asking for the quote, you've already hit your deadline. You need the quote because the PO is coming in.
Right.
But there's a lot more that we can do. We handle demos. We come out and do what we're doing with Joel right now. We can come by and give trainings to dealers on specific products, especially if it's a new product. We're more than happy to get out there. Now, we are not meant to know every single product operation. We're not that great. There's way too many products to do that, especially when we're doing lighting, audio, speakers, control. Like, we handle everything, and it's just too much for us to have all of that. But we can easily facilitate getting the right people in front of the dealers to facilitate a training.
When I think my takeaway from that is that if you're thinking about a lighting project, it is best to get your project information to your dealer so they can reach out to the reps to find out if they're better things for you to use, and the sooner rather than later is the best case scenario. And I guess people could call Joel if they don't know who to call, and Joel could point them in the right direction. You would do that, wouldn't you, Joel?
I would do that. You know, it's mostly me. If we're talking about lighting, we do have integrators that do a lot of different things. And, you know, especially if it's somebody out in that area and they're, you know, if they're not maybe aware that Sound and Sales West do certain other manufacturers or whatever, we absolutely work as a team, you know, and that's across this whole industry. You know, all the senses, as we talked about, Aidan, you know, at one point in time, really do, when you have all the senses put together, and that includes sound, lighting, feel, you know, that it is magic. Sound sounds great. Lighting looks amazing. You put them together, though, and it's incredible.
It's an experience.
And it's an experience. Yes, exactly. So for sure, you know, I mean, one team, one goal, right? And that's kind of the way this whole industry works. So
awesome.
My thought.
So now I want to get into some deeper stuff. You sent me over some notes about your career, and one thing that stood out in my mind was you did some matchmaking services in your past. Tell me a little bit about that. Was it in the Los Angeles area?
No, so we facilitated that area as well. This was also in Arizona, but it was for a company that some people may very much well know, called It's Just Lunch.
Oh yes, I have heard of that.
There you go.
That's
All
fun.
right.
That's fun.
Joel
I never
jumped
did it.
in.
I never did it, but I've heard of it.
So
Oh, it's just lunch, Joel. Come on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just lunch. Come on.
No excuses.
So my role there was actually my official title there was a dating specialist. And yes, it was similar to a call center, but very, very different type of sale when you're getting people calling in and being like, yeah, so I'm looking for someone in their fees and they little bit different conversation, but essentially it was very much just relationship building and trust building. The whole conversation was around like, hey, look, why are you giving us a call? Like, I know we can help in some way, shape, or form, but you wouldn't be calling us unless you've tried other things. So what have you tried? What's been going on? Great. Here's what we offer and what can go on. And really the conversations it is very vastly different from a typical call center because our conversations were anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half because you're trying to get to know.
Oh, wow.
And that's like an opening sales call. If you get someone that actually wants to go through the process, that's a typical runtime. But yeah, it was quite an experience.
I bet.
I was there long, but I thoroughly enjoyed when I was there.
Did you ever come home and just be like, I nailed it today? I know those two were gonna make it. I did it.
Yeah, there were a couple of times where you got someone on the phone and you just start, you're shooting it back and forth with each other, and you're like, she's amazing, and I just talked to this other guy. We're putting these two together. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be great.
All right. I didn't realize that it was that type of. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I just never thought of it in that kind of a format. Where you guys are literally matchmaking.
Yeah. So essentially, what I was trying to sell was essentially a package of dates, and then you would be paired up with your matchmaker that went through the people in your area, and specifically they had their own algorithms. Matchmaking is a lifelong, age-old tradition in some cultures, and it was pretty cool. It was a really interesting setup, and I learned a lot doing it.
In my life, it's just my aunt. I've got a wonderful person you would like. I'm going to set her up. She works at the supermarket. You'll like her.
What? Great.
That never works out.
No, it definitely doesn't.
We had some professionals getting it done, so it was a little different from grandma's recommending somebody's nephew or niece.
Yes. So one final question for you, and this is just in the future. What excites you about the industry? Where do you see things going? What's the outlook right now?
I mean, my personal outlook is hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I know a lot of people currently in today's climate are worried or concerned, and it's reasonable. But I'm very hopeful, especially for this industry, because the entertainment industry as a whole typically tends to be structurally sound during no matter what is going on, because people just want to be entertained. Regardless of what's going on, people still want to go see music. They still want to go see a show. They still want everything to look pretty. So I don't see lighting or audio or anything in that entertainment industry going away anytime soon. So I'm very hopeful. I think there's going to be a lot coming around the corner. But yeah, that's kind of where my outlook is right now. I'm very excited to see how the industry changes based on, the current political climate and the tariffs getting put in place, because things are going to need to be done differently. But that's usually not always a negative. I mean, change is going to happen regardless. I'm pretty sure that's a Rush song. But you can't fight change. It's the only thing that is consistent with the world. Everything is always changing. So I am hopeful, because I think regardless of the changes that are going to happen, I'm excited to see how people come out of it. And I think Blizzard is on the right side of that, where you guys, from talking to Joel, you guys are putting some cool stuff in place. And I'm excited to see how that reflects in the long run.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing about this business is that we know how to creatively pivot when we need to.
Yes.
So, well, that's
it. When you get an industry of creatives, right?
Right. Joel, final thoughts. What do you think?
What am I, Jerry Springer? Final thoughts.
Well, you're definitely not the father.
No, definitely not. No, absolutely. I'm on the same. I'm on the same board as he is. You know, it's one of those things that even though COVID was hit us pretty hard and hit the whole industry pretty hard, it was obvious it wasn't going to last very long without entertainment. Right? Most people were like, I don't care. I want to still go. And I find if I got to stand 6 foot away from somebody, I'll do that. But I still want to enjoy this concert or this show or whatever. And you can't have those things without sound and lighting. So it's a kind of a never ending business, and is why I'm so happy to work in it and why I've made now, you know, such a long career doing it. Lucas, you've made a very long career doing this, you know, and Aidan,
Yes, I
you're
have.
just getting going. And even though you're
Yep.
mostly on the audio side, you know, it's one of those things that it's just a very cool industry to, you know, like you said, because it is ever changing and there's always new technology coming out and new things to arrive. And it is just fun. It's just fun. And that's coming from our side, you know, and then we get to work with companies, dealers, integrators, production companies that are going out and using these tools, both sound and lighting, to create really, really amazing experiences for people. Even if you just go to one of the bigger house of worships, you know, that's all done up now. And, you know, or you go to a little show or play and the theater's got, you know, lighting and really good sound. And I mean, it's nonstop, never ending. And so it's one of those things that it's a pretty cool business to work in. I'm not going to lie. So I see great hope for the future.
I would say to anyone who's watching this podcast who is still considering a career in this business that if you feel passionate about it, you should definitely follow it. I've been in this business. Well, I've never done anything else my entire life. I've always gotten paid to do theater and concerts and lighting and sound. And it has been an amazing journey. And I'm looking forward to the second half of that journey. And I would tell everyone to keep at it. If you want this, it will happen for you. Maybe not the performing thing, but as Aiden and I both know, there is always a good career in the backstage, and they always need people, and they need good people who are passionate. So thank you, Aiden, for joining us.
Thank you.
Aiden has his own podcast. We will put a link in the description. So if you want to see more from him and what he does with his side of the business, you can go ahead and watch that. Joel was on a couple days ago, I believe.
Yep.
If you want to watch more of Snack Master, you can go watch that as well. Those links will be in the description. And until then, everybody, keep it light. Thanks for watching.
See you later.
Thank you.